Welcome back into another episode of the Lads Talking Footy podcast. It is myself, Sam, joined by Jordan Tana every week, mate. How's it going?
Good, bro. I might have got a little bit of a sickness going to that Warriors game. It was a cold, wet night and didn't get much of a trade-off with a big L against the Storm. But, we're feeling all right. We've got a week looking forward. We've got a much easier test, so hopefully we can bounce back. But, yeah, it was tough going last weekend.
Yeah, I really thought that they were going to get over that hump, that Storm hump. I thought they were going to do it at home. They started off with a hiss and a roar, but unfortunately they couldn't get the chocolates in that one. Now, before we get into it, like and subscribe to us. If you're watching this on YouTube, Spotify as well, leave a question in the comments section below. We'll answer it each show as they follow along. But yeah, help us keep building what we're doing right now. And now TVC Live has been running our power play segment each week. But what you'll sort of understand now is we're going to pull back the sheets in this one, Jordan, and we're going to invite them into bed here and we're going to team up with them fully. So this podcast is now actually brought to you by TVC Live. Download the app from the App Store or Google Play. Use the code which will be in our show notes below, or jump on our link tree via the page. So jump in and give it a go. Each week they give away two $50 NRL vouchers, store vouchers that is. So one to the overall winner of the week and one in the prediction segment of that as well for each game, which they deem as game of the round. They've also been giving away jerseys on their page, so go give them a follow as well. They did State of Origin in Game 1, and I believe they're going to be doing another State of Origin jersey giveaway for Game 2. So there's a whole heap of stuff that they're giving away. Jump in, you just have a little bit of friendly banter either in the chat segment within the app, or jump in and do the live predictions and you might win some free money from it. So like I said, the link will be in the show notes, or it'll be on our actual link tree on our page. Go give them some love and there'll be a bit of cool stuff hopefully that we'll be doing with them as we move forward. Now the NBA Finals is all wrapped up. Boston Celtics ended up taking it out 4-1 today over the Dallas Mavericks, and it got me thinking a little bit. Let's do an NRL starting five. So we're going to name our All-NRL starting five. But what we're going to do is we're going to do it in a draft format. So Jordan's going to take the first draft pick and we're going to do a snake format below. All NRL current players from that, and we're going to name our best starting five. So Jordan, man, do you want to take us away?
Oh, you're kind enough to give me the first pick. We didn't get the little randomizer that we usually get on 2K that sort of decides it. But, hey, I'll take it. And with the first pick, I'm going with a little bit of an eat-ass one here. I'm going with a guy who's got experience playing basketball and almost chose that as a career himself. So I'm going West Tigers fullback, Dream Buller, for my first pick.
Ooh, tasty. I like it. Now I've got my first pick on the clock here, and I'm going to get in early on this one, and he's going to be locking up my point guard position. I'm going to put him right there. He's one of the craftiest hookers in the game. You brought up the West Tigers before, and I want this guy dishing, diming, running the pick and roll for me, and that is Api Coruscant with my first pick.
Okay.
Now my second pick, I'm going to go big here. I'm going to take this one nice and early. To complement Api, I'm going to take big Payne Haas. I want him to play that big shack down in the post, big, powerful bloke. So for my second pick, I'm going to take Payne Haas.
Oh, I like that. And I'm going to join you because Dream Bull is not the biggest dude in the world. So I'm also going to go big. And it's another guy with experience in basketball. He apparently got found by Sea Eagles scouts because he was just watching his friends play. He was actually a basketball player. And that was Haumole Olakau'atu. They thought he had the size and frame for rugby league, told him to come across, and he ditched that career. So I'm going to give him a chance back on the basketball court.
That's a big, powerful man there.
Probably in the forwards. Maybe center, depending on how this draft goes.
So you go next, mate.
Oh, yeah, again? Well, actually, he's not going to play center because I'm going big again. I'm going for size. I'm going for 6'9" Benny Takura because he is a huge boy. And I think he'll do well as a center. Big, powerful frame. I'm going to take him there for my big man.
Nice. I like how you've played this one out. You've gone with big boys and big size. So I like that I've got Payne Haas anchoring it there in the middle for me there. And I'm going to go for my two forwards with my next two picks. So with my third pick, I'm actually going to take him at the power forward position. And we saw his shoulder working out in game 1. But for me, I'm going to have him working out with Payne Haas in the middle there. And that's Joseph Suali'i I'm going to take with my third pick. And now with my fourth pick, I almost kind of compare the body shape, I guess, to a guy that actually just won the championship, and that's Jason Tatum. So I'm going to take at the small forward position. We talked about him last week about being the signing of the year. I hope that he's going to be the signing of the year for my team. He's going to probably be my skipper in this one. So at my 3, I'm going to take Stephen Crichton.
Damn. I'll tell you what, that's the first name you took off my board because I did have Stephen Crichton underlined for me as well. He's just got the size and the frame of a basketball player and the athleticism. So I thought, surely he's got a bit of basketball chops. This one, I'm going to ask you a question. Feel free to veto it if you want. You can be Adam Silver here and veto the Chris Paul trade. I've got here with an asterisk, I've got Edric Lee, because apparently he was a really handy basketball player, but I don't think he's played a game for the NRL this year. So do you veto this, or should I go another person?
I'm not going to veto it. I'll let you do like maybe a training trial here. You can bring him in on your roster, see if he's actually going to make the
Okay.
cut. Yeah,
Okay,
you can take
we'll
him.
chuck him there on the bench in the extended squad. We won't go with Edric Lee. We're actually going to go with maybe a forward to combat Stephen Crichton at your small forward. I'm going to go with Xavier Coates because he's got great athleticism, great size, and I think he'll do well on a basketball court. So I'm going Xavier Coates.
Nice. I like that we've actually managed to cross paths in this one because I had Stephen Crichton listed there, but I also had Coates with a little asterisk just in case you managed to pick him up from me first. So you just done one pick,
yeah.
so you'll have your last pick now.
Oh, this is my last pick? Okay, this one might be me being a bit of a homer, but this is also based on a bit of research from what I've heard from friends of this guy, him being from the coast and all that. And that's Sean Johnson. Apparently, he is a very handy basketball player. So I'm going to take the word of mouth advice, pick him for my point guard, I guess, and have Buller at the shooting guard. I have seen him on YouTube, I believe, do a one-on-one with his missus, and she was getting buckets on him, but she is a professional netball player, so I can't allow that. I will have Sean Johnson at my point guard.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all. When we were doing I was doing a little bit of research for this. I wanted to bring some stats to it because I want to look at the try assist leaders for the year, and it was Ben Hunt that was topping it out, and I just thought I can't put him in my squad. But SJ was killing it in the assist category as of last year, and he hasn't played a hell of a lot of games this year, so I like that. My last pick, it's going to end up being in that 2 guard spot, and I've got 2 guys here penciled in. I wasn't sure if you're going to take one of them from me. And I just want scorers. And right now I've got one guy that's in fine form, and that's Jerome Luai. But I'm not going to take him. Now, when you think of just a guy that you can give him the rock, go and get it to work. We've got a State of Origin around the corner. He's that guy when it comes to the Origin arena. But if you just want someone to flat out score, that's Cam Munster. And I'm going to take Cam Munster with my last pick in this. Do you wanna list off your team first, and then I'll list off my team second, and then we'll discuss between each other who we think is gonna win this, and then you can let us know in the comments.
Point guard, I will have Sean Johnson. Shooting guard, I'll have Jareem Buller, probably the most experienced baller of my squad. At small forward, I'll have Xavier Coates. At power forward, Hamoli Olakawatu, some big size there, and then some even bigger size at my center in Benny Takuda.
That's a big, powerful squad. I do like Hamoli in there. That's a very good pickup. My starting 5 at the point guard position, I've got Epi Coruscant. We want that crafty pick and roll player there. At the 2 guard, I've got Cam Munster, flat out scorer. At the 3, I've got Stephen Crichton. At the 4, Joseph Suoli'i. And to anchor my team in the middle there, I've got Big Payne Haas. He's going to be a big pain in the ass for you there, down on the block. Let us know in the comments who you think has the best team, who would win maybe a 7-game series, and list below as well who you think would have us, or what your pick would be for a starting 5 that would take on our teams. I mean, I'm going to be biased here. I like my team here. When we were going through this all, gave myself 2 to 3 options. I had DCE. I even had Latrell Mitchell at the point guard. I thought maybe I could play him as a Ben Simmons type of player. We talked about his passing last week as well. But yeah, I'm happy. Nanai was a player that I sort of floated. And Tohu Harris in the centre position. I thought maybe if I wanted to play like a Jokic type of ball, he's got that ball playing skill around it.
Yeah, I don't mind that. It is real hard to know how good these guys are actually at basketball. So I have kind of gone with a few cheese picks, which I know they can play a little bit. But yeah, I like your team. A bunch of wing sort of defending athletes. Stephen Crichton, he's a lockdown defender on the league field. I can imagine he's got quick feet and good at defending guys on a basketball court as well. But I don't know, man. I might be biased too, but I think I got a good balance of size and skill with Johnson and Buller there as well. So, hey, let us know in the comments who you think got this one.
When I'm back in New Zealand, we might have to do a creative player, create them, play a little 5-on-5 or something.
Yeah.
Now it's the Super Rugby final is this weekend. It is the Blues taking on the Chiefs. The bookies actually have the Blues in this one at $1.42 favourites and the Chiefs as a very big $3 underdogs. Who do you think is going to take out the Super Rugby competition this year, mate?
Well, it is a good clash of styles between the two teams because the Blues have actually, they've been more notorious through their history of being like a team that shifts it from everywhere and plays a beautiful brand of footy. And the Chiefs have, they're not so much the opposite, but the Blues have really identified themselves as a grinded team through the middle and through their forward pack this year, which has dominated a lot of teams on their route to the final. Whereas the Chiefs are the more expansive team, spreading it with Damian McKenzie and Amoni Narawa and players like that, that have really taken the competition by storm in these last 2 weeks with some big results in both the quarter and the semi-finals. So I think, my dad, as I've said the saying on the show before, my dad says forwards determine who wins the games and the backs determined by how much. I like the Chiefs backline. I like how electric it is, but they are missing a few players in that forward pack as well with a few injuries. I know they're really light on that hooker position. I think the Blues are going to get it done in a close, grinded out affair in front of a sold-out stadium at Eden Park, which you love to see because it almost seems like rugby's taken a little bit of a dip in popularity, but sold out in a matter of minutes today. You love to see it. So I'm going to go the Blues at home to get their first title, and I think 21 years, is that correct?
Yeah, the first official one. The Crusaders fans will have an asterisk sitting next to that. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, the semi-final, if you're watching it, that crowd was pretty abysmal. There were a few guys that actually went to it that we were talking to, and they said, yeah, throughout the season it was way better. And then come semi-final time, something just happened, maybe the weather warning or something like that. But to sell out just like that, fantastic to see from the Aucklanders as well. And obviously there'll be quite a few Chiefs fans driving up for that one. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting one when you think about like the whole season playing out and the Crusaders drop off this season with how it went into it, and it's a redemption year for both, or a redemption final for both of these teams. Last year the Chiefs losing to the Crusaders, the year before that the Blues losing to the Crusaders, and we finally get to see one of these two teams lift that trophy. I'm going to stick to my guns here. I said that the Chiefs were going to win it at the start of the year, and I think they're going to do it here. They're going to upset the Blues at home. I just think, I agree with you 100%. The forwards win the games and the backs determined by how much, but I just think that backs power and that punch that they have there is enough to ignite something in a few moments that we might see. The Blues have AJ Lamb starting at second five for them last week. It's been very scrambled for them as well. I like D-Mac coming up against Plummer in that 10 position, and just the flair that they have out on the wings as well, and the young guns that are coming through for the Chiefs. So I think they'll get it done. I reckon this game will be a very, very close kind of affair. I can see it only being like maybe 2 to 3 tries max each, and something ending in definitely a 1 to 12 margin, but maybe within 7 or something like that. But yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns here and say the Chiefs take this one out. Now we're going to move into the accountability segment. As you'll be aware, we didn't have the show last week. I was back home in Auckland, but all of our bets were up on the page. So do you want to take us through how we went, mate?
Yeah, so I went 5 from 8 in terms of my picking, and you went 4 from 8. So just barely pass marks from both the lads.
Tough round of picking. And that one, it was. I went for a couple of upsets in there. I think obviously I hit the Cowboys one, but then played safe on the Broncos. You picked really well with the Bunnies in that one, but it was very, very wishy-washy round in terms of picks.
Yeah, it was. It would have been probably about a half an hour of analysis if we had run a show that week. So, yeah, very tough week. And it started off pretty tough with a bit of an upset. Dolphins beating the Sharks 30-28. They nearly dropped a 22-point lead in the first 20 minutes. I've gone with the Sharks head-to-head into total points over 46.5, which they've gone over, but unfortunately the Sharks couldn't reel them back in after an amazing try by Hammer. So, yeah, unfortunate miss there.
Yeah, tough footy there. Nico Hines pretty much kicking his Blues jersey away at the end of the game there. I ended up going with Mulatalo and Bostock, both anytime try scorer at $3.60, which we managed to cash in.
And then the next game of the round, you've picked well again. Cowboys beating the Raiders, just blowing them off the park early, 34-16. I thought I would go with the old trademark Raiders 1-12, but unfortunately, Cowboys too good.
Yeah, and I've gone with Hudson Young into the Cowboys to win at $6.50. Hudson Young actually drops a sitter very close to the line, and then a couple of plays later, the young fullback in Wendell Saylor's boy, I'm forgetting it, Tristan Saylor, ends up knocking it down on what would have been a shoo-in for him over the line there. So I'm gutted about that one.
And then the Rabbitohs getting 3 wins in a row. Who would have thought this at the start of the year? Beating the Broncos 22-12. I've gone with the Rabbitohs to cover a +3.5 line, which have won outright. So good hit there.
Yeah, good punting from you there. I've gone with Dean Mariner into the Broncos to win at $2.37. Mariner crosses over, but the Broncos do not win.
And then the one I'm probably most proud of for the week, the Tigers beating the Titans 18-10 at Leichhardt Oval. And you know there's just always bound to be a bit of magic at Leichhardt. Tigers +9.5 into total points under 46.5 because I know what I'm working with. And that hit. So, yeah, that was my favourite pick of the round.
Yeah, Leichhardt was bloody pumping there, man. It looked epic scenes out there. It was a shame. I really thought that the Titans might be able to grind it out in a low-scoring affair. I ended up having Fafita into AKP to combine for 2+ at $2.30. I double staked it, but we get the push in that one, so we get our double stake back, which is lucky.
Yep, king of the push, and we might see a few of those later on in the best bets. The Storm breaking my heart live and in person, beating the Warriors 38-24 after such a magical start. I've double staked the Warriors 1-12. Looked so good, but didn't come through.
Yeah, they started off with a hiss and a roar. I've taken Xavier Coates into the Warriors to win at $4. Coates gets over, Warriors don't win.
And then finally on your Saturday, the Roosters beat the Eels 28-18. Another near comeback, though. A lot of flows of momentum in the games over the weekend. I've hit with the Roosters -6.5. And then I see you've done something absolutely magical here. They call you the king of the push, but I've never seen a double push for both players.
Yeah, so we took Sivo, Dom Young, both anytime try scorer, top try scorers for both teams. Both of them decided to leave the boots in the locker room. They didn't come out, so only $2.75 odds in that one. But yeah, another push.
And then your Seagulls got up, beating the Dragons 30-14. I've given the Dragons maybe a little too much respect. I should know that they either lose by big margins or win by big margins. So I've gone Seagulls 1-12, which hasn't hit.
Yeah, it was a shame in that one. I thought you're a shoo-in there with what was happening with the bench and that. I've gone Tommy Talau into Manly to win at $2.25. Unfortunately, it's just right the whole game. They don't go left to Tommy, so we go down there.
And then finally, to end out the week, the Panthers beat the Knights 26-18. Another absolute heartbreak for me by half a point. I've gone Panthers -8.5, which was at some line cheese as well, because I actually reduced it from the line that they had at Sports 365. So that'll teach me. You might as well just go for a big bet or go home, because I've gone home anyway with a 0.5 miss.
And I've ended up cashing in here. I've gone Dylan Edwards into Toto, both anytime try scorers at $4. As for the repeat sets, I've hit one again this week. So I've gone Penrith and Manly both to win at $1.92. So seems to be working for me. If I can just stay under that $2 odds for a lock, I'm likely to hit. As for the 40-20s, though, we go down. Mariner, Talau, Warriors win $4.44. No good there.
And then, yeah, you're stealing my thunder a little bit with the repeat set bets, because I've gone down thinking the Johnson effect would be a little stronger than it actually was. I've gone Watini Zalesniak, anytime try scorer. Unfortunately, he only played about 70 minutes because of a silly head high, so he doesn't go in. And then I've gone a bit of a punt on my 40-20. Raiders 1-12, hasn't even come through head-to-head. And then Panthers 13+, which they didn't play.
Yeah, tough pickies there. As for the round recap, I've got a plus 4.52 unit collect on that one, which takes my current total units to 61.60 on the season.
Yeah, and my unit collect was actually a unit loss for the round, -2.75. But last week we had a plus 7.25 for it, so we didn't do a show last week, but for the fortnight, it is plus 4.5. So still somewhat positive after a good week 2 weeks ago.
Nice. The pushes saved me in that one. I think if we didn't have the pushes, I might have been down on that. As for the Telegram recap, no luck with the bets that week because I was back in New Zealand, so we'll leave that one alone. Now, power play of the round. My power play of the round was actually the Burbo try in Manly's win over the Dragons. Absolutely fantastic win from them to begin with. 13 blokes just ripping in on the footy field and blowing out the Dragons in the second 40, which you'd think when the gas tank's empty, that's when you'd play a little bit more conservative, but we just saw the complete opposite from them. But it was Hamoli Olakuadu. When you think of him, it's big, powerful, bleeds New South Wales, just showed silky hands in this play. The soft tip back inside to Hopewade of Lehigh fame. He shows that toe and then links up with Burbo out to drop down for Manly's fourth try in that one. It's just impressive for me to see the skills that big fella has, the brute, powerful force. But in this one, he just pushes out to the right and the soft, silky hands back inside. It was almost just like a 1-2 touch from him. Fantastic skills there from him. So he's my power play of the round.
Yes, sort of the skills you could see on a basketball court, right?
Yeah.
With the soft hands and the shooting touch.
I like it.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
He played absolutely outstanding, man. He was an absolute wrecking ball in that game, and he deserves a bit of mention for his performance in that one. They also scored an amazing try, I think their last try, where it was just absolute French offloading footy up the field, and then eventually gets the DCE who kicks it to Jason Saab unmarked for, I think, their last try. So Seagulls were on fire with some of their tries in that game. Speaking of a fire try, I've gone with Hammer's full field try to pretty much, I'm going to say, win the game for the Dolphins because, like I said earlier, they were up 22-0, and then the Sharks came storming back with all the momentum to go up 24-22. And then they kick it down into like some decent territory where Hammer catches it 95 meters from the try line, breaks 2 tackles, sprints away, breaks another 2 tackles, and then he has his arch nemesis from 5 minutes earlier, who he missed the tackle on, and Will Kennedy, come up against him again, does a little stutter goosey sort of thing, makes Kennedy absolutely whiff the tackle and goes in for an absolutely crucial try that stopped all the momentum from the Sharks, and a 95-meter effort. That was an amazing effort from this guy. He is in outstanding form at all levels of the game. The Hammer continues to impress, and he really done a great job showing his X factor to get his team over the line in this one. So shout out the Hammer for Origin, for everything at the moment.
He's been ripping and tearing lately. I want to take you back to my take maybe a month and a half ago when I suggested that he might end up being the Dally M winner this year. Do you reckon that's the position that they are on the ladder? I know that doesn't play any part into it, but every single week that the Dolphins are performing at that level and Hammer's in the squad, he's arguably the best player in that team. He's picking up those top points. I know Katoa kind of gets his lion's share of it every now and then, but do you reckon it's Hammer time for the Dalian?
I don't hate the take. The only problem I would have with it is that I've seen the way they were scoring up until they stopped the standings, and it doesn't seem like he was getting as much love as perhaps he deserves. So,
but when you look at it, you're seeing Hines on the ladder, and you're seeing Turbo up there as well. Hines hasn't been playing very well lately. He's had the injuries as well, which hasn't been picking up points. Turbo's been out too. There's no Ponga to watch in a late comeback in this one that we can see as of late. Yeah, I don't know. I reckon he's might be up there now.
Well, we all know the real award for the end of the year is the Dally M Lad of the Year. So hopefully he can scrounge some points for us and get the proper trophy.
Maybe we'll put that behind closed doors and get some bias votes there. My performance of the round, I'm going Jerome Luai. This jinking like hot potato thing that he does with his feet instead of his hands, it pisses me off a lot to watch, but it's working. And he jinks and jives over Bluebet Stadium most weeks, but he did it all over McDonald Jones Stadium over the weekend. He finished with 1 try assist, 1 offload, 5 tackle breaks, 1 line break assist, 163 run meters, and 361 kick meters. I actually can't wait to see him rip and tear for the Tigers next season with what he's been showing as of late. But Luai right now is an absolute weapon. And I did not think coming into State of Origin, Game 1, Game 2, that he would be potentially one of the first names penciled in terms of form coming into this, because he's been fantastic.
Yeah, he has been amazing. And I totally agree with your sentiment about the Tigers. I can't wait to see what he can do over there. Because when they first signed him, I was like, Luai's a 7? I don't know, man. That's Cleary's job. He just does his thing on that right side and just sort of steps back. But he's showing that he can take the step forward and be the alpha dog of a team. And some of the plays he was doing in the weekend were absolutely magical. The try he scored, the little no-look was a thing of beauty when he hit his lead runner. I think it was Lindsay Smith, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely amazing.
When you're bringing him into that squad and you're complimenting him now with Appy, just the creativity that these two might have feeding off each other, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays because like all of this play from Luai at the moment, it's not like Cleary's even been there. So you're not worrying about like, oh, there's that threat of Cleary out on that right edge or something. And that's why he's got like a little bit more freedom out there. He's just doing it all over the shop. And even in game 1, he was doing it. He set up that try for Tedesco early on. And it's just, yeah, it's like, it's this razzle dazzle. It's frustrating to watch, but to game plan against it, you don't know what he's going to do. You don't know if he's going to do that jinking jive to the left and from left to right and then come back out to the left, or maybe he's going to go a bit further to the right and then he puts like a little kick through, or he'll spin back around and then he'll make a line break and stick his tongue out. And he's just a grub, but he's doing so well with it at the moment. It's frustrating to watch, but to me, it's like Tigers footy all over it. It's just, yeah, it's weird, it's frustrating, but yeah, he's going to have that brand. I can't wait to see him go.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be a good look. And you possess, but also the familiarity between those two because they have played together at the Panthers. And then, I've also been super impressed with Luai's kicking game. Like, he has really taken the reins with both hands. He's been given an opportunity to show what he can do with a blank checkbook pretty much. And he is writing a lot of zeros on that checkbook because he is playing amazing and showing all facets to his game that we maybe didn't know. So shout out Luai. He's been amazing. For my performance of the round, I've kind of broken a cardinal sin here, and I've gone with a guy in a performance for a team that lost, but he was absolutely outstanding. I think he was perhaps the most impressive player for the competition over the weekend, for my eyes, because Keanu Kinney was absolutely outstanding for the Titans, and he's giving you a glimpse into the future because I'm seeing a specific prototype of fullback that looks like it's going to be taking over the NRL in the next 10 years. And it's the smaller, jinkier footwork fullback. And he was at the forefront of that this weekend. And if you look at some of the other guys around the league, like Fa'alongo, like Taupiki, like Fuller, like Stewart, like Jai Gray, who's getting a crack this weekend, it's really a weird trend that we're seeing with these smaller guys being selected and being cultivated as the young fullbacks for their teams. And it's looking very bright if they play like this guy played in the weekend. 321 run meters, which is a club record, beat another small fullback's record in Jaden Campbell. 3 line breaks, 3 line break assists, 1 try assist, 8 tackle breaks, and 3 offloads. And every time he touched the ball, he just looked like a genuine threat. Great acceleration, electric footwork, and he was good at releasing his outsides. Got Jojo Fafita a few breaks and made some breaks himself. So shout out Keanu Kinney. Hopefully, well, not this weekend, but hopefully you get some dubs so we can give you some Dally M points and stuff like that. But I wanted to highlight him because he played amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad that you pulled up that next fullback class that's coming through. I mean, Blaise Taulangi is also a name that you can add to it. It's going to be interesting to see those guys as they come through. Who are the ones that start to really rock it off and break these games open? Because it's been fantastic to see what Keanu Kinney's been doing this season. I mean, we saw a glimpse of the athleticism last year, but what he's doing this year is just on a whole nother level. And it creates another clusterfuck, I guess, for the Titans at that fullback spot when you've got Brimson, who last year was playing State of Origin. You've got Jaden Campbell, who they've invested their future in heavily. Now you've got Keanu Kinney coming through. Is there a team off the top of your head that could do very well with his services? For me, I mean, the Canberra Raiders are a glaring team with a fullback. I mean, we did see what Chevy Stewart had to bring, but Keanu's obviously kind of showing it on the big stage. I mean, the Bulldogs, I guess they got Connor Tracy there at the moment, who's doing a good job for them as well. But, I mean, what do the Titans do? Or if you're Keanu Kinney, where would you go?
Yeah, my mind always goes to the Raiders as well because, Rapana doesn't have forever being 34 years old. Still in great form, but I don't think he's the long-term solution for them at that fullback position. I like what you say about the Bulldogs. Another team I'd throw out there who has a young fullback, but he hasn't been, he sort of comes and goes with his form, and maybe you get another guy just to give them a different look every week. And that would be maybe the West Tigers. I'm talking about Buller, that is. I would like him to get an opportunity there. And so, yeah, maybe that is just a different option. But yeah, it is a bit of a logjam. I do still think I like AJ Brimson at that fullback position the best. But yeah, logjam, man. Almost happy headaches, though, for the Titans, because you'd rather have those guys on your team to select from.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was just thinking when you're going there, the Roosters, potentially, they were out there looking at the Knights' young fullback as well coming through. It looked good in that the tricolours there. Now, Dalian points, I've got well too far ahead of me in terms of admin, so I've missed out on that. We're going to put it behind closed doors this week. Grab of the week, we're missing out on that one. We're going to jump straight into State of Origin, Game 2 breakdown. The team was obviously announced earlier this week. So New South Wales ins, we've got Edwards, Latrell, Moses, Murray, Watson. The outs, we've got Tedesco, Suoli'i, Hines, McInnes and Young. For Queensland, we've got Kafusi and Capewell both in, and the outs being Cobbo and Hopgood. So what we'll do is we'll start off with New South Wales, because I feel like that's actually the team that might be a little bit shorter to break down before we get into Queensland. So we've got Dylan Edwards, Brian To'o, Crichton, Latrell and Lomax as our back five. Big one in that one is Latrell Mitchell back in.
And I think that's just a form pick. He's been in amazing form. He's put his hand up to just like for like replace Suoli'i, who was suspended because of that hit in the first game, obviously. So I like him at centre. He's been showing really good playmaking ability, and I believe if he is on that right side outside of Lomax, he'll be able to give him good opportunities and release him there. And, you know, he's just a big, strong ball carrier himself, so he's going to hold defenders up when he does run direct at the line. So Latrell's form warrants it. I've given
Sorry, you there?
Hello? Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, we'll get back into it.
Sure.
Yeah, look, I really like Latrell being out on that left edge for them. I think bringing him in, obviously the big matchup with him and Valentine Holmes defensively, obviously he's pretty solid in State of Origin, but up against, for the Cowboys this season, he's been very hit and miss with his defense, and Latrell's just a game breaker. And I like that they've pulled the trigger on it as well. We were kind of up in the air on whether he was actually going to be selected in game 1, but I like that he's been picked in game 2 here, and they're just going to pull the trigger on him and see what happens. Now, Jerome Luai gets another shot. Mitch Moses has been brought in at the halfback position, and Reece Robson with the number 9 duties again. I mean, Mitch Moses in there for his kicking game. I think it's tick-tick. Luai's been in fantastic form, and Robson played fantastic for them last week as well.
Yeah, well, like we said, Jerome Luai is a shoo-in at this point. And I like what they've done with Mitchell Moses. I actually do, because I wasn't impressed with Nico Hines' performance at all. I think he played a little within himself in that first game, and he wasn't willing to chance his arm. Played a little timid. A lot of his short balls and a lot of his playmaking options that he took were not the right options, and he was giving forwards balls in not favorable positions to his team, not hitting the right line runners. So I do like Moses coming in, because he's proven at the Origin level that he is a gamer, and he's proven in these last couple of weeks for the Eels that he is well and truly back to full fitness and playing at his best form. So I like Moses to come in here, because he won't play within himself. He will chance his arm. He will play without fear, which I think is a mantra within this New South Wales team going forward into these next 2 games. So I do like Moses coming in. And unfortunately for Hines, he's just going to have to work and get better and show some form again to get the selectors back confident in his game, as well as being confident in his own game, because yeah, it wasn't a great performance, and I thought Moses was a shoo-in to take his spot, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit tough with Nico Hines. Like, he's only been a halfback, arguably, for this is his 3rd year of doing it. Before that, he was a utility with the Melbourne Storm, and he's started to develop very well with the Sharks, but we do see inconsistencies in his game there. He didn't have a full squad in this one, so I think it is quite tough for him just to take that full heat on it, which he obviously has, and that's That's the territory that comes with it and the position. But I do think that moving forward, like he's going to be that 5'8" for them. He just has that style of game where he attacks really well, he runs really well, and he can let like a game manager, which would be Nathan Cleary, and obviously what Mitch Moses does very well and kicks very well, sort of do for them. So I think it's tough for Nico Hines. He will be there in the future, but it's just a shame what's happened. Now Jake Trbojevic, Payne Haas, Liam Martin, Angus Crichton, and Cam Murray comes in. I like Cam Murray in the inclusion in this. I think he would have been there in game one had he been available. And the rest of them, fantastic. Liam Martin, absolute dog. Angus Crichton, fantastic. And it'll be interesting to see if Trbojevic plays more than 27 minutes.
Yeah, I got no problem. No problem with these changes at all. I agree with your take that Cam Murray was probably meant to be there in the first game if he were healthy. They almost picked Cam McInnes as a like-for-like sort of player, but it wasn't like-for-like. He doesn't have the playmaking ability that a Cam Murray has. And I also think he's just lacking a few bricks in the pockets. He's not quite big enough. And I thought that when they targeted Cam McInnes in the first game, Queensland were actually getting some pretty fast play of the ball. I mean, he's good at working and like joining the tackle as the third man in, but when they're going straight at Cam McInnes, I felt like he was giving up some quick speed in the play of the balls for Queensland. So I do like Murray in there because he is a big physical hitter. If you run into his shoulder, he will try to put a shot on. And I think Jake Trbojevic, given that they stay with 13 men on the field, I think he will get more opportunity in that front row position. He just didn't have the foot speed, I heard was the rumors out of Maguire's camp. So, he will be more valuable there with a full squad and a full opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And we move into the bench now. Now we've got Spencer Leniu, Hamole Olakwada, and Isaiah Yao. They all retain their positions. And Connor Watson comes in to make way. Fantastic. It's great to see, obviously, a utility in that position. What Connor Watson has been through, now named in this New South Wales squad. He's been ripping and tearing for the Roosters as of late as well. It's crazy to think that he wasn't even playing or selected in Game 1 for the Roosters when they played over in Vegas, and he's now about to make his State of Origin debut. Fantastic story from him, but it's great to see now a little bit more shape sort of take place with that New South Wales bench. We know what interchange is going to be there. He's going to cover multiple positions, and he can take a little bit of heat off Reeves Robson in the middle. Yao again taking that utility spot on the bench. Hamole, fantastic. I want to see him rip and tear on that right edge. Hopefully not just having to come in and defend straight away. And Leniu, man, I hope he rips in like he did game 1.
Yeah, I fully agree. I look at the bench now, and we were kind of giving it shit in the first game, but I look at it now, and it looks like a nice, well-rounded bench with all the sort of players you'd be looking for. There still is maybe some questions over back cover, but I like Connor Watson's versatility because he has played as far out as half, so you can do some reshuffling there if shit were to really hit the fan. And he deserves a debut, man, with his form this season. He has been nothing short of an absolute workhorse. He's constantly working on defense. He's constantly working on attack, both as a ball carrier and as a prober in that hooker position. So he is maybe the catalyst for some of the Roosters' best results this year. So I like seeing him getting a chance with New South Wales. And then Hamole, I did have some question marks over his first game performance, but he's been showing that it might have been a blip on the radar with some of his performance in recent weeks for the Seagulls, and he's still a big body with a lot of athleticism that you want off your bench. And Spencer Leniu, he has got to keep his spot after his Game 1 performance. So absolutely no problems with the team, and this is the favourite. This is by far a better New South Wales team than Game 1, in my opinion.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm looking at the squad, and I think there's nothing in this squad that I'm not happy with. There's nothing I'm confused about. We've got attacking flair with Latrell coming in there. I think, up against Val Holmes, it's going to be fantastic. The bench, I'm really, really happy. Just touching on the reserves quickly before we move into Queensland, we've got Barnett, McInnes, and Luke Keary. I find it a little bit confusing that Keary's again retained that number 20 jersey. When you look at what Billy Slater's obviously doing with the Maroons here, and you look at the players that he's bringing in that have got buys, the youth, the guys that are next up for them, and then you've got the likes of the veterans that are there as well. So it is a little bit confusing, the reserves makeup there that has been brought in by Madge. I would have mind seeing maybe Katoa, maybe Ethan Strange, or just maybe a young forward that's coming through. Just blood them into that camp a little bit earlier on. They'll be better for it through the season as well, ripping in with these guys, but a little bit confusing there. Now we move into Queensland. Reece Walsh, Xavier Coates, Valentine Holmes, the Hammer, and Taulagi. They all retain their spots. DCE and Tommy Dearden, They both retain their spots unchanged. Is that what you expected?
Yeah, it is. When you get a good result like you did in game one, and the whole backline looked pretty good in doing it, wasn't expecting any changes.
Yeah, it's I guess Reece Walsh is the only one that will be interesting. Hasn't played any footy since game one, and man, that was a tough head knock. To come back only a couple of weeks after that as well, it'll be interesting to see how he does perform. We move into the forwards: Ruben Cotter, Ben Hunt, Lindsay Collins, Jaden Sewer, Jeremiah Nanai, and Patrick Carrigan, all unchanged again. Again, for feeder not included. Jaden Sewer still there.
Yeah, I hope this. I mean, it's very consistent, and the results of the last couple of years, you'd expect the Queensland team to be consistent. But I hope this consistency is the lead to their downfall because
Mm.
they're not making any changes. They're really confident in the squad they picked, and with a deep talent pool like New South Wales have, and I do think the selections have been good this time. I think we can expose certain cracks in this Queensland defence, maybe around that edge position with Sura and Nanai, and then Cherry Evans and Dearden, who's a smaller guy himself, good tackler but a smaller guy. Maybe there could be some vulnerabilities there. They're still going with the Ben Hunt starting hooker thing. Maybe his ruck speed isn't quite fast enough to match, a quick ruck speed from Robson and the Blues on the other side. So I'm hoping they're getting a little cocky and they're getting a little bit too comfortable. They're picking the same 13, and New South Wales can take advantage.
Yeah, Billy Fittler out there, maybe.
Yeah.
Moving into the bench, we've got Harry Grant, Mo Fodawaker both retaining their spots. Felice Kafusi, he comes in, and Kurt Capewell from the Warriors has been included in the interchange number 17. Interesting selections for me around this. Kafusi played fantastic when he came in. We all know he's going to rip and tear when he gets onto that field, and that shoulder's going to be put to work. Kurt Capewell, though, for me, is the weird decision here from Billy. Game one, he was very vocal in terms of the percentages, with an outside back getting injured. And that's why he wanted to have that versatility of Selwyn Cobbo. And then he also floated that they were going to create a position for Selwyn Cobbo if there was no injury to take place, and maybe see him rip and tear in the middle there. That's exactly what happened. We saw Reece Walsh go down with injury, Hammer moved to fullback, Cobbo moved to centre, and it just fit perfectly. So to go away from that for me was a little bit confusing, considering it worked well with what they wanted. But we also, New South Wales didn't get to see this position or how they were going to play it tactically. I know he didn't play very well on the weekend. Maybe that's warranted it. I know there's a few issues around injury going on for him. I think he had a needle in his shoulder or something. So he is a little bit frustrated there. We're seeing Kurt Capewell do a job in the Origin arena before, but man, it's a very different ballgame. I mean, you look at what happened on the flip side for New South Wales, and we're having to have edge forwards defending out of that centre spot. They've ripped us to shreds there. And if you're going to put, you've got Stephen Crichton coming up against Kurt Capewell, or you want to shift Val Holmes back over there, and then you're going to put him up against Latrell Mitchell. If anything was to happen in that centre spot, it is interesting. What are your thoughts on it?
I completely agree about the Cobbo snub. I think it is very strange that he has been dropped completely out of the squad. Even in the non-playing reserves, he's not there as well. I sort of said this earlier in the week to you off camera, but I can sort of see the justification in it with Billy Slater seeing Hamiso Tabuai Fido's form at fullback in the first game and thinking, oh, Cobbo doesn't represent as much value on the bench because Hammer can do such a job if he were to shift into that position and there was to be a jumble around of the backline. And then Capewell can come in and has shown in the past and in past Origins that he can play centre, and he can be, it is a bit of a stretch from what I've seen so far this year, but can be an adequate centre/second row hybrid. But I think form, you'd have to stick with Cobbo, and he played good in that first game as well. It's kind of an unfair punishment almost that he's not in the squad at all. And Capewell, who hasn't been playing good form or hasn't seen much time on the footy field due to injury this year, gets to come in there. So interesting decision. Again, I hope it is part of the unraveling of Queensland and it spells good news for the Blues.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if it's nothing else other than injury, I find it really confusing from Billy there. Just backflips on everything that he warranted in game one. And Reece Walsh is coming into this with no footy under his belt, coming off that heavy concussion in game one. If it is going to be lights out again for him, Liam Martin came out and said through the week, they are going to target him. They've made it open. It's going to be healthy targeting, but they are going to go after him. So you are, to me, I am a little bit worried about that. And then it kind of just puts a big circle on Dane Gagai in the 18th man jersey. Do you reckon there might be a late change from Billy, maybe switching him into that 17 position? He's been fantastic the last couple of weeks. He can do a job in the centres. He could potentially do whatever Selwyn was going to do in the middle if they need it, or someone just to game break. But do you think maybe a late change could happen?
Maybe. I agree. Gagai's been in great form. There's almost like a stigma amongst my boys that Gagai's fallen off, and I don't think he has. I just think there's been some young guns in Valentine Holmes and Hamiso Tabuai Fido that have come in and kind of stolen the spot. He's still a fantastic player, and I would not be surprised if they don't like what they're seeing from Kurt Capewell in some trial team runs with him at centre, because they'll be changing different combinations and playing some emergency lineups just to see how they go. So if Kurt Capewell isn't quite up to scruff as a centre, I wouldn't be surprised to see 18th man in that 17 spot in Dane Gagai.
Mm. And then obviously to round it out, Helen Lukey and Trent Liero can added to the extended squad. They'll obviously go and rejoin their teams after this, but the experience nonetheless for them, they'll be better off for. And it's good to see Helen Lukey added into that Origin development, I guess.
Yeah, good things for the development of those players. It's good to see that Queensland are actually bringing in some young guys to just get them involved in the system, because Hallam Lukey has a lot of potential at his age. Trent Loiero, I don't know how old he is, but it's good to see him get into the system and get a little taste of that Origin environment as well. So I like that bleeding of players, and it's kind of like what the All Blacks do at end of year test with some of the young players that aren't quite up to starting 22 level, but they get that experience against Italy and Scotland and stuff like that. So I like the tactics.
Do you reckon that's a little bit of a backdoor handshake between Billy and Bellamy? They're going to bring young Liero, the Storm man, in and put a bit of Origin experience on him. He's going to go back into camp having all of that under his belt. He's going to rip and tear for his club again. Do you reckon that's just a little bit of backdoor etiquette from the Storm playing some games and bolster them for a nice finals run?
You questioning the Storm for some backdoor etiquette? You mean the Storm that got their titles taken away from them in the 2000s due to some dodgy backdoor stuff? I wouldn't put it past those guys to do anything like that,
man. Yeah, interesting tactics, but nonetheless, I'm pumped for game 2. We're going to do an Origin breakdown come Sunday, which will be out Monday, so stay tuned for that. We're going to jump into the round 16 preview. All of these odds are accurate as of Monday at 6 p.m. Tuesday at 6 p.m. The Storm, they take on the Dolphins at Suncorp. The Storm are $1.46 underdogs. The Finns are $2.75. The Storm are $1.46 favourites. The Dolphins are $2.75 underdogs. And the line is at 6.5. For the Dolphins, Fuller again steps in for the hammer. Jesse Bromwich returns from a rib injury for Felice Kafusi, while the mid-season recruit, TPJ, he will make his club debut off the bench. Some said he was done with footy. Wasn't a very quick exit. For the Storm, Pap is back after missing 5 games with an ankle injury. Fantastic to see, which sees Fa'alongo shift to the wing. Will Warbrick is back from a hip flexor injury on the other wing, and Grant Anderson shifts to the centre spot. Garlick is in for Harry Grant. So only one previous meeting between these two, with the Storm winning that one 24-16. That game was also at Suncorp, where the Finns only have a 50% win rate, and the Storm, they have a 76% win rate here. The Storm on top of the table coming into this one, obviously the key losses in Harry Grant and Coates. I still think that they can put together a strong performance against this Finns team. Pat back is a big in. I think the Storms win this one.
I just got a quick question. What do you reckon Nelson Asafa Solomona and Tavita Pangai Jr. to get into some handbags is paying? $1.01?
I don't know. Big Nasty took a few licks on his chin last week. He was cut up on that one. And it'd be interesting to see what the red-headed TPJ is like under Wayne Bennett. I want to see if that temper's still there. So I'm going to say maybe unders on the handbags in that one.
Okay, I like it. Tavita did say that no half or coach could control him. He said something like that back in the day. So, hey, we'll see, man. We'll see what he's got in store for us. Yeah, I like the Storm as well. I have to agree with you. They did win the last game in Brisbane, 24-16. And they've only lost 3 games this whole year, and some good results in recent weeks, winning 3 of their last 4 and scoring over 30 in each of those wins. Whereas the Dolphins have a few dusty losses to the Raiders and a depleted Warriors lately, and they held on for dear life against the Sharks last week as well. So if they can play like they did in the first 20 last week for the whole game, they can win. But for me, they leak a little too many points. They've been conceding 24 or more in 4 of their last 5 games. And with Pat returning, I like that to make up for the loss that the Storm will have around the ruck with Harry Grant. I know Pat likes threatening around those block holes as well. So it stays dangerous there. It's clear conditions. So I'm going to back the Storm head to head into total points over 46.5 at $2.25.
Nice. Now, the Storm have conceded a try to a right side winger in the bracket that I'm about to give you in 2 of their last 4 games. I'm going to go Jermaine Osako to score the first, second, or third try in this at $4. You're going to notice with my best bets here, I'm looking for a little bit of juice. Bye week, it's only a couple of bets in this one. I'm going to juice them up from now. The Titans, they take on the Warriors at Seabus Super Stadium. The Warriors are $1.47 favourites in this one. The Titans, they are $2.69 underdogs, and the line is at 6.5. Fafita returns after missing round 15 with an ankle injury for the Titans. And for the Warriors, RTS is back into the centre spot. Ed Kosi comes in for Dallin, who's suspended, and Barnett and Cape Wire, both in Origin camp, sees Dylan Walker move into the second row and Tohu start at lock. Only 3 wins this season for the Titans as they continue to struggle, obviously going down to the Tigers last weekend. The Warriors coming off a loss to the Storm, but they'd been ripping and tearing, and I expect the same thing to continue here. The Titans have won 4 of their last 5 games against the Warriors, and at Seabus Stadium, they have won 4 of their last 6 games against them, which kind of has me a little bit worried in this one, especially with Fafita back and not in Origin duties. But I'm backing the Wires to get this one done, and yeah, I've got good vibes on it.
Okay. I'm glad we've both got the good vibes because I was really looking at this one. I was thinking, man, my pick has got to be blind faith because I think the Titans represent great value in the underdog role, especially with some of those recent results. But I think we can and we should win, though, because AFB, Niokore, and Walker all carried super strong last week. And Florida's kind of been a revelation at prop as well. I like the way he's been playing in that position as opposed to the edges where he's kind of been dropping the ball. So I do like the Warriors ball carriers and their ability to, create territory with them. The attack still looked a little clunky. There's got some things to figure out with Sean Johnson re-entering the lineup to work with TMM. And the bench is looking a bit thin now, especially with Barnett not in the lineup. And the Titans, I can't pick them, though, when I look at some of their results because I can't ignore a bunch of the dusty losses to the Rabbitohs and to the Tigers who, were on a 9-loss streak before beating the Titans. So, yeah, that's some dusty results. They're also missing Cleese Haas and Fodawaker. And I've got to back the Warriors in clear conditions in a high-scoring game because I think the Warriors can get a lead. The Titans can score some tries on the wings to get it back. So I'm going to go the Warriors head-to-head into total points over 46.5 at $2.15.
Nice. AFB, he scored a double the last time that these two teams played, and Fafita has scored a try in his last 2 games against the Warriors. I'm going to go a little double here. Give me AFB and Fafita, both anytime try scorers, at $10.25. The Roosters, they take on the Bulldogs at Industry Group Stadium. The Roosters are $1.37 favourites here. The Bulldogs are $3.11 underdogs, and the line sits at 8.5. Kiraz, he shifts to the centre spot. Skelton comes in on the wing. Curran returns from HIA protocol to replace Preston, who is out with a foot injury, and Adokar will miss the game as well after suffering a head knock. For the Chooks, Collins, Crichton, Lenu, and Watson, they are all out. Dom Young returns though, and Brandon Smith also returns to the starting lineup. I can't wait until Origin, the bye rounds and all of the hoo-ha around all of the team lists is out of the way because it gets very frustrating to name every week. The Doggies, though, they have a 64% win rate here. The Chooks have a 47% win rate. The Dogs have won 2 of their last 3 games against Roosters, but the Roosters have won 9 of their last total games against each other. I think the Dogs get this one. I think they'll take maybe a little bit more advantage out of the Chooks' losses here. It's tough pickings in this one, obviously, with the stock that the Roosters can roll back in. But I think Birdo is the key here, still being in the squad for them. He'll be ready to rip and tear on that left edge. I know Fox isn't there, but Blake Wilson is very handy replacement there. And I like the groundwork that obviously Critter has laid for them, the attitude that the Dogs have at the moment. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say Bulldogs win this.
Yeah, you're a brave man because I actually really wanted to take the Bulldogs as well at that +9.5 line. I was thinking Roosters didn't look good the last bye round, losing to the Cowboys, so the Bulldogs have a real chance here. But I think the thing that swayed me to pick the Roosters is they did nearly reel in that 30-point deficit after conceding a red card in the last game. So they'll actually feel a little confident from that and be out for revenge at the same time. So I think they do lose a lot of Origin players, but the Bulldogs, I look at their squad and they're actually missing quite a few players to just like suspensions and injuries and Origin themselves. And Crichton, Adokar, Mann, Preston, and maybe even Kikau. I saw he was number 23, but as of right now, he's not in the squad. So unfortunately, I just have a feeling that the Roosters are going to get this one done. I do respect the Bulldogs, so I'm going to pick a close game, especially when it's meant to be wet conditions in Sydney. So I'm going to go Roosters 1-12 at $3.40.
Nice. Matt Burton, he had a hat-trick the last time that these two played. I think Blake Wilson coming in on that left edge for them. There's going to be all left in this one. The Fox, he's actually had 4 tries in his last 2 games against the Roosters out on that side. And then Dom Young coming in on that right edge for them, I think is just going to rip and tear too. So I'm going to go Dom Young, Blake Wilson, Matt Burton, all anytime try scorers at $10.75. The Rabbitohs, they take on Manly at a course stadium. The Rabbitohs are $1.49 favourites in this one. Manly, they are $2.64 underdogs, and the line is at 6.5. For Manly, DCE, Jake, and Hamole all out with Origin camp. They lose Paseka and Garrick also due to injury and HIA, which sees 4 new faces in Chan Kum Tong, Asiti James, Ben Condon, joined also by the debutant and Caleb Navale. New faces all in there for the Seagulls. The birds, the baby birds, they're leaving the nest. They're ready to fly with the big guys. For the Rabbitohs, Jai Gray comes in for Latrell Mitchell, and Liam LeBlanc joins the 17 for Cam Murray. Jai Arrow has also been named. 45th meeting here between the two of them. They've both won 22 games each. At the venue, 57% win rate for the Bunnies and a 43% win rate for Manly. The Bunnies have won 7 of their last 8 games against Manly. At a course stadium, they have won their last 6 games in a row against Manly. Manly last beat them here in 2013, round 29. The last time that these two teams played each other in round 16 was also at a course stadium, and the Rabbitohs beat them 20-8. How many times, though, do we see squads like these come in and they just play to a different level? I think Manly, 13 plus forever. South Sydney, never.
Oh, okay. I like it. That's a little shot at the Cast Boys as well. I like you ripping your bird gang. I'm not going to do that, unfortunately, because I have a look down at this Manly squad, and
it's tough.
It is looking pretty grim. You got Lawton at half. You got Bullymore in the middle. You got Brown at 13. You got 3 guys I've never even heard of on the bench, and one of them doesn't even get a picture. So it is tough pickings for the Seagulls. You do see some magical things like this happen, but I'm going to have to stick with the Rabbitohs because they still have Keon, Cook, and Walker, who have been integral parts of this 3-game winning streak that they've been on, and they've been helping this Bunnies team keep rolling. So I'm going to say they keep rolling here. It is wet conditions, which is also a little tip for the underdog. But I like the value here for the Rabbitohs. I don't think they're too heavy of the favourites considering they've lost Latrell, who has been their best player in the recent weeks. So I'm going to juice it up a little bit just to get it over $2. I've got Rabbitohs minus 10.5 at $2.10. That is kind of dusty considering it's wet conditions, but I think their squad is just a little bit too good for the Seagulls squad.
Nice. My best bet for this game, I'm going to go Luke Brooks in this one here. He hasn't scored a try in a little while here. No DCE. I think he's going to have that running game going. And Cody Walker, he always goes well against Manly. No Latrell in here. I think he'll be hungry, even though he is at that half spot. So both halves to score anytime at $12.50. The Tigers, they take on the Raiders at Campbelltown Sports Stadium. Raiders are $1.60 favourites. Tigers, $2.34 underdogs, and the line is at 4.5. Short line in this one, I thought, considering the ins and outs for the Raiders. They do have a pretty good squad here, not losing anything to Origin. Just one change for them, actually, which is Zach Wolford joining the bench for Tom Starling. And the Tigers, they've got Lockie Galvin, who returns from his, in quotation, hand injury. Caesar Salad, he moves back to halfback, and Appy back to hooker. Dewey is also listed amongst the reserves. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up slotting into the spot. I wouldn't mind seeing him in that lock position. Now, the Raiders, they have won 24 of their previous 43 games against the Tigers. Both have terrible records at the venue. They're both low 40s here. The Raiders have won 12 of the last 13 games against the Tigers. They've also won their last 3 games in a row against the Tigers here. I think they win well in this one, the Raiders.
Yeah, and I like what you said about the line as well, because it is quite small, and I think that is just based off the fact that the Raiders looked, pretty terrible last week, getting cut up by the Cowboys, but the Raiders are kind of notorious for not losing 2 games in a row, no matter how badly they get beaten up in the game before. And they have had some pretty good wins lately against the Dolphins, Bulldogs, and Seagulls, which are all top 8 teams. And I believe they're still a top 8 team themselves, the Raiders, or have they just dropped out?
I believe they're just sitting maybe in that 7th spot. I think it's just on the point differential.
Yeah, so they're a quality team themselves. And I know the Tigers did break a 9-game winning streak last week, and, they absolutely lit up Leichhardt with a bit of Leichhardt magic, but unfortunately they're back at Campbelltown, so I expect them to come back to the norm. I don't like putting too much into the intangibles like this, but there's definitely something weird that happens at Leichhardt every time they play there. This is at Campbelltown. I think they'll resort back to the norm, and the Raiders will prove the better outfit. Again, wet conditions, so I don't know how much of an effect that will have, but I am going to take the Raiders to cover a -6.5 line at $2.05, and that is my double stake.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. Both of our double stakes are coming in this one. I've got Xavier Savage, Ethan Strange, Raiders 13 plus, $11.50, and I'm double staking it as well. Now the Broncos, Sharks, Knights, Cowboys, Eels, Panthers, and Dragons, they obviously all have the bye. Now, just to cover off our best bets before we move into the repeat set bets and 40-20s, I've got Jermaine Osako, first, second, or third try scorer at $4. AFB and Fafita, both anytime try scorers, $10.25. Dom Young, Blake Wilson, and Matt Burden, all anytime try scorers at $10.75. Lukey Brooks and Cody Walker, both anytime try scorers at $12.50. Ethan Strange, Xavier Savage, Raiders 13 plus at $11.50.
Yeah, those are all really juicy, and I actually quite like those ones, so I might take a little leaf out of your book this weekend. But for my ones, the much more timid ones, Storm head-to-head into total points over 46.5 at $2.25. Warriors head-to-head into total points over 46.5 at $2.15. Roosters 1-12 at $3.40. Rabbitohs -10.5 at $2.10. And then my double stake, Raiders -6.5 at $2.05.
Nice. Moving into the repeat set bets. This is our lock of the week. I'm going back to that Raiders game in this one. A winger from the opposing team has scored the first try for their team against the Tigers in 3 of their last 5 games. I'm going Xavier Savage, first, second, or third try scorer at $3.40.
Okay, and I'm going to go with some Raiders game cheese as well, because I've gone very cheesy. I've just gone Raiders head-to-head at $1.60. I think they should be able to win this, and I think it's good value considering the line's so short.
Nice. I'm taking a big punt here on my 40-20 bet. Bye week, I just want to get a little bit playful with this one. I'm just going all halves to score here. So I'm going Tyrone Wishart, Ethan Strange, Luke Brooks, all anytime try scorers for their team at $49.31. And we all know Wishart scores. Wishart scores tries.
All of those guys are pretty aggressive halves, so I actually quite like that bet. I've gone a lot more timid, obviously. 40-20 bet. Nia Kore, anytime try scorer, into Rabbitohs head-to-head at $6.03. Nia Kore was $4.25 just on his own, so I was thinking, oh, fuck, that could get my 40-20 bet, but I thought, let's juice it up with a little bit of Rabbitohs as well, and hopefully we get over the line with a big 40-20 punt.
Nice. It'll be interesting to see come reviewing that one if it's just Nia Kore that gets over and the bunnies don't get up.
Yeah.
That concludes another show for us. Enjoy the bye round footy, what is of it. Stick around, stay tuned for Monday. We'll drop our State of Origin Game 2 preview. Nonetheless, great to see you guys, and we'll see you all next week. Peace.